What's up guys, welcome back to a new video, and in this video I want to talk about how you can use the dollar index to trade Forex and to get profitable trade ideas. So let's get started with this video right now. All right, so we're looking at the dollar index chart, and I know a lot of people use the dollar index chart to form a bias for the trading week ahead. I also use it. I have some statistics on the dollar index chart that can help me to come up with profitable trading ideas, and in this video I want to discuss those. So the dollar index is basically just how much value the dollar has, not compared to any other currency. And as we all know, most of the majors are heavily correlated to the dollar index, especially euro dollar is usually like the inverted version of the dollar, but there are of the dollar index, but there are some minor differences there. So how can we use the dollar index effectively to trade? First of all, you want to gather some statistics. At least that's how I do it. I know people that use major support and resistance levels. I have certain statistics about the dollar index, and using those statistics, I know there's a higher probability of something happening than the other thing. In this example, I knew that once price was at the area of this arrow, there was a 62% chance of hitting the lower green line before taking out this high at the red line. Now that gives me a bias to go short the dollar. As you know, the most correlated pair with the dollar is the euro dollar, but sometimes you can also use another pair. For example, let's say you want to short the dollar because the statistics line up, but you notice that GBP is way stronger than the euro. In that case, you might want to choose GBP USD long instead of the euro dollar. But it all depends on how you're going to determine which currency is stronger and how you're going to apply it. I'm going to talk about the way I used to apply this, and I still gather statistics on these scenarios. So this is when I knew the odds were in my favor to go short. As we all know, breakouts tend to retest. That's why I drew this big white line. And that's an area price tends to gravitate towards before falling down, as you see, which happened. If we go to the euro dollar chart, you got the same thing going on. You got this base forming, kind of an accumulation pattern on the M15, impulse breakout, retest of structure, and then a move to the upside. Now, as you can see on the dollar chart, it just retested it very briefly. And there are a number of ways you can trade these kind of setups. Back in the day, I used to trade those blindly, which means as soon as I knew the statistics of the dollar index were in my favor, I would go to the euro dollar, usually highlight the level for the retest. That's where I put a buy limit order. Stop would be below that candle, and I would be targeting the area in line with the statistics of the dollar index. So that's how you can play it. It's a bit more risky, but another thing you can do is just analyze structure on the DXY, the dollar index. So as soon as this retested, this becomes the low of structure. You got a touch here, and as soon as it closes below that structure, this entire area has been cleaned. This has been retested, so there wouldn't be any reason for price to go back again, in my opinion and from my experience. And then you could go to the euro dollar chart, chop in an entry, and target the statistics, or target, for example, the next area of structure above market, which is this yellow box. So that's how you could use the dollar index chart. You can also, for example, go to the weekly time frame on the dollar index. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say you go to the weekly time frame. and you highlight major areas of structure, that one, and that one, those are the major areas of structure close to the market price. If we go to the daily time frame, this is definitely an interesting one. So I place it below this one because we have both lows. And of course, this double top is very interesting. And this bit of demand is also interesting. So these are the important areas. And then you basically look at the dollar index, what happens. Let's say there's a day when we get a stitch up to the upside, close above, break above, and a strong close below here. That could give you a bearish bias. That means liquidity above the highs has been absorbed by a bigger player that wants to be short in the dollar. And you could join them as well. So then you might, as soon as this happens, you might have a short bias. Then you go to the euro dollar, the Aussie dollar to find the best pair to trade short the dollar. Same goes here. Let's say you see something like this happening. Then you could use that as a long bias. And again, find a pair that you want to short against the euro dollar. For this yellow zone, this is the demand zone. This is the last bit of structure before this massive impulse moves to the upside. Usually, if markets retrace those areas, this is the area that gets retested. So let's say price gets there and you see something like this happening. To me, that gives me a long bias as soon as the close is above and we are at this area. Then I want to be looking for dollar longs, which means I would be looking for shorts on the Aussie dollar or any other pair. But that's basically how you can use the dollar index. So, or you get a statistics on certain scenarios like I did that give me a slight edge, and then I can use that to build a trade idea around. Or you maybe want to highlight important levels in the dollar index, maybe on a daily, on a weekly, see what price does at these areas, and then let that give you a bias for the coming days and find a pair that matches that bias the best. So yeah, a bit of a short video, but I think it's a great tip for a lot of people. And I hope you learned a lot from it. If there are any questions, please leave a comment down below because I will always help. And please subscribe because the channel is starting to grow quite a bit and you don't want to miss anything because some interesting things are coming up soon. Subscribe and I speak to you the next time.